Sewing a shirt placket might seem intimidating, but it's actually one of the easiest ways to add a polished finish to any shirt or dress. After watching this video, you'll know 5 essential tips that'll help you create perfectly crisp plackets every time. And if you skip these steps, you'll end up with bulky, uneven plackets that'll make your entire garment look sloppy. I know a lot of sewists avoid plackets thinking they're too complicated, but once you see these simple tricks, you'll realize just how straightforward they are. Let's start by understanding what a placket actually is. Think of it as a neat way to finish any opening where you don't want to use a zipper. A placket is made from 2 strips of fabric, one sewn on each side of your opening. The 2 sides then overlap, creating a clean finished edge. Usually, you'll sew buttons on the lower placket and buttonholes on the top, but you can also use snaps or even leave them open for a casual look. You'll find plackets most commonly on shirt fronts, but they're incredibly versatile. You can use them on back necklines, wrist openings on sleeves, or anywhere else you need a closure. They're like the Swiss Army knife of garment finishing. Before we dive into the construction, let's gather what you'll need. First, you'll have your garment with the hem already sewn. I'm going to assume you'll be adding a collar or a band at the neckline once the placket is complete. We'll talk about variations later, but this is the most common approach. You'll need 2 strips of fabric for your placket pieces. These should be twice the width of your finished placket plus seam allowances on each side. For the length, measure your hemmed opening and add an additional 3/8 inch. This extra length accounts for the finish at the hem that we'll add later. You'll also need 2 strips of interfacing. Each one should be half the width of your placket. This is where our first essential tip comes in. Tip number 1, interface only one side of your placket pieces. This is a mistake I see all the time. People think more interfacing means more structure, but actually it just creates unnecessary bulk. Here's exactly how to do this right. Take your interfacing strip and place it on the wrong side of your placket piece. Position it so it covers exactly half the width of your placket piece. This will be the side where your buttons and buttonholes will go. The interfacing should run the full length of your placket piece. Fuse it according to the manufacturer's instructions, using a press cloth to protect your fabric. This gives your placket the structure it needs for crisp buttonholes, without making it thick and unwieldy when the pieces overlap. Tip number 2. Pre-press your placket pieces. This step is absolutely crucial for getting crisp, even edges, and it's where many people rush and end up with wobbly results. Let me walk you through this carefully. Start with your interfaced placket piece. Fold it in half lengthwise with wrong sides together, making sure the interfaced side is on the inside of the fold. The fold you're creating will become the finished edge of your placket. Press this fold with a hot iron, really setting it well. This creates your center fold line, which is your guide for everything that follows. Now unfold the piece and lay it flat, wrong side up. Take the long edge that doesn't have interfacing and fold it to the wrong side at exactly 3/8 inch. This is your seam allowance, and you want to be precise here. Use your seam gauge or ruler to make sure it's consistent along the entire length. Press this fold well too. When you unfold it, you'll see 2 pressed lines. These are your roadmap for perfect construction. Repeat this process with your second placket piece. These pressed lines eliminate guesswork and ensure both sides of your placket will be identical. Tip number 3, make sure your garment is hemmed before you attach your placket. I mentioned this earlier, but let me show you exactly why this matters and how to do it right. Your placket needs to align perfectly with your finished hem, and it's much easier to achieve this when the hem is already in place. With your garment hemmed and pressed, take your interfaced placket piece and place it right sides together with your garment. The interfaced edge should align with the center front edge of your dress or shirt. Pin carefully, starting at the hem and working your way up to the neckline. Make sure you're maintaining that 3/8 inch seam allowance consistently. When you stitch, start from the hem and sew toward the neckline. This prevents any fabric shifting that could throw off your alignment. Use a consistent seam allowance and keep your stitching lines straight. After stitching, press the placket away from the garment. Make sure you don't press out any of those creases we made earlier. This creates a clean foundation for everything that follows. Now here's where things get interesting. Tip number 4 is all about finishing that hem edge cleanly, and this is where I see the most confusion. At the bottom of your placket, you need to create a clean finish that aligns perfectly with your hem. Here's the step-by-step process. With your placket still pressed away from the garment, fold the entire placket piece back on itself with right sides together. You're looking for that pre-pressed fold line you created earlier. This folded edge should meet exactly with your seam line where you attach the placket to the garment. Think of it like making a perfect corner on a picture frame. Pin this in place, then stitch across the bottom of the placket at 3/8 inch, creating a line that's even with your finished hem edge. This stitching line should be perpendicular to your first seam line. Before you turn it right side out, clip the corner at a 45-degree angle, getting close to but not through your stitching. This eliminates bulk and helps you achieve a sharp point when you turn it. When you fold the placket back to the inside of your garment, you'll have a perfectly clean end that aligns with your hem. One thing you'll notice is that the neckline edge stays even with your garment's neckline. This makes it easy to add a collar, binding, or a band later. But if you're sewing something without these features, just cut your placket 3/8 inch longer than the neckline and treat it exactly like you did the hem. This month we have 2 brand new patterns, including the new Brahms shirt dress, which is the perfect opportunity to practice these placket techniques. Brahms has a unique pleated sleeve, a stand collar, a fitted bodice with an A-line skirt, and a placket that runs all the way down the front. Seamwork members can download this pattern for free right now, or you can purchase it when it becomes available to non-members after the first month. You'll find the link in the description below. Tip number 5 is my secret weapon for perfect edge stitching, and this technique will change how you approach any project that requires catching multiple layers. When you're ready to edge stitch the long edge in place, the challenge is making sure you catch the underside of the placket every single time. Here's my foolproof method. First, fold your placket to the inside along that center fold line you pressed earlier. The loose edge, the one you pre-pressed at 3/8 inch, needs to lie flat against the seam line where you attach the placket to your garment. Instead of using pins, which can shift and distort your fabric, use a glue stick or Wonder Tape to hold this loose edge in place. Apply the adhesive right along the seam line, then carefully position your folded edge so it just covers the original stitching line. The beauty of this technique is that you can see exactly where everything is positioned, and the adhesive holds it firmly without any bulk or shifting. Start your edge stitching from the bottom of the placket, stitching close to the folded edge. Keep your stitching line consistent. About an 1/8 inch from the fold is perfect. Since everything is held securely with the adhesive, you can focus on keeping your stitching straight rather than worrying about whether you're catching all the layers. When you reach the top, you can continue right up to the neckline. The adhesive will wash out completely, leaving you with perfectly even edge stitching that catches every layer. This technique works beautifully for any situation where you need to secure a folded edge. Cuffs, waistbands, facings, anywhere precision matters. Let me show you the difference between a placket that's been carefully constructed using these tips versus one that's been rushed. See how this one lies flat and crisp while this one has bulk and uneven edges? The difference is in the details, the interfacing placement, the pre-pressing, and especially the edge stitching technique. Now let's talk about where you can use plackets in your sewing. They're most commonly seen on shirt fronts like the fern blouse, which features a gathered top with raglan sleeves and a contoured band collar. The placket on fern creates a clean center front that's both functional and beautiful. The roan tunic is another excellent example. It's an oversized shirt with a classic placket and collar combination, and it's perfect if you want to dive deeper into shirt making techniques. Proportions are forgiving, which makes it ideal for practicing. If you want to try sewing a placket without a band or collar, the sage blouse is a great example. It has a simple V neckline with a placket that's finished at both the top and the bottom. This shows you how versatile plackets can be beyond traditional shirt construction. For dress lovers, the new Brahms shirt dress I mentioned earlier is absolutely gorgeous, or you could try the birdie dress, which has beautiful tie cuffs with an elasticized waist. Both showcase how plackets can elevate a dress from simple to sophisticated. But here's where plackets get really fun. The creative possibilities are endless. You can add trim to one or both sides of your placket. Lace, rickrack, or even ribbon work beautifully since plackets are cut on the straight grain. I've seen some stunning examples where contrast trim completely transforms the look of a basic shirt. Piping is another gorgeous option. I added piping to my fern blouse and it creates this beautiful tailored edge. Just remember, if you want to add piping at the center front, you will need to cut each placket piece in 2 instead of 1 continuous strip. Then add a seam where you insert the piping. That's what I did on my own fern blouse. Consider sewing the under placket in a contrasting fabric. This creates a beautiful pop of color or pattern when the placket is unbuttoned. Again, you might need to cut the placket in 2 pieces to achieve this look, but the effect is stunning. You can also play with color blocking by using different colors for the placket and collar, or use a different pattern in the same color family. This creates visual interest without being overwhelming. If you're working with striped fabric, try changing the stripe direction on your placket. Running the stripes perpendicular to the main garment creates an interesting geometric effect that looks intentional and sophisticated. Here's a detail I love: sewing a ribbon down the front of the under placket. This not only looks fantastic when your shirt is unbuttoned, it also adds structure and helps the placket lay flat. Choose a ribbon that complements your fabric and top stitch it in place before you attach the placket to your garment. For those who love hand details, consider adding embroidery or decorative top stitching to your placket. You can even add embroidered motifs between the button markings. This transforms a simple placket into something really special. The key to all these variations is planning ahead. Decide on your design elements before you cut your fabric and adjust your construction sequence accordingly. Some details need to be added before you attach the placket, while others can be added afterward. Once you've mastered the basic placket, you'll find yourself looking for excuses to add them to your projects. They're that satisfying combination of practical and beautiful that makes sewing so rewarding. And now that you know how to create perfect plackets, you'll want to master the buttonholes that complete them. Watch this video next to learn all the secrets for sewing flawless buttonholes every time.